Part 2 of the teachings for the New Golden Age by beloved Ascended Master Kuthumi, preparing teachers for the Golden Age. The presence of God is ready to serve you now. The presence of God is waiting for the opportunity to serve through you and through me. The beautiful, loving, all-powerful Father of life stands in a constant attitude of listening, that where he is called, he may answer in an onrush of his mighty presence through the instruments created and prepared by his love as a chalice of his being. The presence of God within man is the hope of his ultimate personal salvation and individual mastery over the substance and energy of any sphere in which his consciousness is required to dwell. The I Am Present signifies, by its very name, presence, that it is here now. It signifies that it is not some ephemeral being who, in time to come, usually accepted as having accomplished its visitation after so-called death, will transform and transmute all the tendencies, conditions, effects, and personal limitations of the individual. Contemplation upon the truth that there is a presence in man capable of such transformation and transmutation now brings the hope of glory and peace in the sweet by and by into the present. The kingdom of heaven is at hand, said Jesus. Not the kingdom of heaven will be yours in some mystic land far, far away. Beloved children of the Father, could your eyes but see the imminence of that holy presence when your innocent forms rise from their beds and place their feet upon the pathway of the day, you would understand the rudeness of the outer self in keeping that presence waiting, and in the press of unimportant things, sometimes a day, a week, or a lifetime passes, and the presence of God is still waiting for the opportunity to fill your cup with grace, with peace, and with healing. Early in my own earthly experience, I learned of that mighty God presence hovering over my insignificant outer self with the love of the Holy Mother for her blessed Son, and I realized that the tender care of Mary for the infant Jesus was but a limited expression of the Father's love for me and for all the brothers and sisters scurrying like ants upon their self-created paths of misery and woe. Thus I enjoyed the bliss of raising up my soul, my heart, my being to that ever-present embodied love, the presence of God, who was waiting my thought, my call, my silent invocation, that his greater wisdom might direct the imprint of my sandals. And so it was that I became a brother of peace. One day, as the presence of God filled my cup with the healing power of his grace to alleviate the wounds of mankind's hate, my joy at this privilege was so great that my heart nearly burst its bounds as I hastened on winged feet to carry the cup to those who thirsted. Thus, every morning became a new joy, for the presence of God had always some exquisite, particular gift for the children of men, and I, most humble and unworthy among them, with soiled hands and shadowed soul, could carry that cup to my brothers. My life became an ecstasy, and a great peace descended upon me, because my exaltation was bathed in the fragrance of love, and its emanation was a happiness that comes from being God's messenger. In the tales that are told, they have gathered a glory around the name of Francis. You will find repeatedly that the presence of peace was a more powerful force than arms or rancor or might or right, because the presence of God, ever waiting, desires above all things to establish peace in the sons of men, in their troubled hearts, in their ruffled minds, in their tortured bodies. And so, where want of peace was prevalent, I knew that the presence of God was waiting with hands outstretched to pour peace, if so invited. I knew when I came to the bedside of the sick, into the presence of the possessed, that, long before I had come, the presence of God in the afflicted one and in myself was waiting, hovering over the supplicant as the Christ mother hovered over her child. And I acknowledged that presence, and from it flowed the answer to the particular need of the moment. And so, my children, proceeding through the veil of human experience, remember, when your feet step upon the ground each morning, that presence of God is waiting to fill your day with the fullness of Himself, if you choose to invite Him. Remember, when there are those in distress, privation, or limitation, that the presence of God is waiting and will release the answer to the particular requirement if you choose to accept that presence and invoke His aid. Today, as you read these lines, the presence of God is waiting to bless you, each one, with the fullness of the peace that passeth all understanding. And I invoke that presence to fill you now with that peace.